Good afternoon, family. This is Reginal Drummer, and welcome to another episode of We Are Ready. If we stay ready, we don't have to get ready. Over here, we always focus on things that we need to do in order to be ready and prepared. That's whether it's the next 7 days, the next 7 weeks, or the next 7 months, or the next 7 years. And tonight, I'm encouraging everyone to like, share, and subscribe to our We Are Ready channel over here on Facebook. But tonight, we're going to be talking about the importance of local elections. And we'll say that again, the importance of local elections. Because so many people, many times when we go out in the community, people are very aware of all types of stuff about the presidential elections or the governor's race, but they have nothing or no conversation when it comes down to their local elections, the mayors, city council people, and your local school boards. So tonight, I'm joined, and I'm going to allow him, Brother Edward, will be coming in. He's with the organization that's by design is here to help people know what they need to know when it comes down to voting in their local elections, and why is it so important? It's more important than the presidential elections. And we'll say that again. It's more important than the presidential elections. So, Brother Edward, but you can introduce yourself and tell us how you got involved, and just have the floor for a minute.
All right, thank you for having me on, Reggie.
Yes, sir.
Again, my name is Edward Paul. I'm with the Gwinnett NAACP. I'm the Political Action Committee Chair and first Vice President of the Gwinnett NAACP. How did I get involved? Well, I think like most people, seeing what happened to George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, watching that live, what happened to George Floyd on TV, and then reading and following up on the story Breonna Taylor. I mean, I think as most Black people, I felt moved to do something, beyond maybe protesting, beyond maybe just, getting out there for a few weeks, being upset about it. I wanted to get involved with the organization and do something. So for years, I had been listening to Roland Martin, get on people about, complaining about what the NAACP not doing and what other organizations like Black Lives Matter or Urban League are not doing. And he was like, well, what you doing? You want you join the organization and you do something, if you feel like the people that's there aren't doing anything. And so I just took it upon myself to join, and slowly but surely, I got elevated up through the ranks into leadership position because thankful to President Poole for seeing potential in me to lead the political committee, which was one of the committees I joined when I came on, and she then eventually elevated me to first vice president as well of the Gwinnett NAACP. So that's my story. That's how I really got involved. I always followed politics. I always, my mom always encouraged me to run for some type of political office, but I just felt like that wasn't necessarily my calling to do. But I did feel like, my voice, needed to be heard, and people need to be educated, and I shouldn't have all these ideas and these thoughts about what's happening in politics. I should, kind of bring other people in, because I used to always have large groups of conversations with people at work, and they would say the same thing, like, man, you need to run for something, I'm like, no, I don't think that's my lane, at least not right now. That's not my lane. So eventually that's what led me to join the Gwinnett NAACP. When you see something like happen with George Floyd, I don't know how any Black person can't join some organization after watching that.
Well, and you come from a place where civil rights and human rights mean a lot. We were just talking about your state and who the great heroes and sheroes that come out of the great state of Mississippi, Fannie Lou Hamer, Medgar Eggers, and yourself, Edward Paul. That's
I got a long way to go.
But brother, you doing work where anytime you do work to educate and inform people so
Right.
that they can be able to mobilize and empower themselves, you're doing a great work. You know, when we look at, especially in the Black and brown community, I've seen other groups that are embracing politics because they understand the power of politics. And when we look at our ancestors, our sheroes and heroes that put so much work into making sure that we could vote, and people kind of take it nonchalantly or they misinformed. We've talked to several people in the metro Atlanta area that said, well, you know, I don't vote for the mayor of Atlanta. I said, no, but you got politics going on around the state. Cobb County, Gwinnett County, Henry County, Clayton County.
Right.
There's, you know, and but what has been one of your greatest challenges since you know, joining the team and putting the work in?
I'll say probably one of my greatest challenges is just continue to keep people motivated to stay engaged. You know, so many people were engaged, you know, after what happened to George Floyd, and we had a mass number of people, you know, trying to do stuff. But, you know, we are, you know, what I think over a year now removed from when that happened. And, you know, it's like people are, you know, getting back comfortable. And again, in this country, you know, where Black people have been, you know, we've been on a perpetual assault since we've been, you know, drug over here. And as my mentor, Dr. Carr, would always say, you know, you know, we, you know, again, they, you know, we wouldn't be having this conversation in English if we wasn't under perpetual assault, you know, the way we were.
Okay.
You know, we would be speaking in our native African tongue. And so as Black people, we should never take our foot off the gas with everything that's going on, especially when you're seeing what's happening at these school board meetings where, you know, it's a lot of uproar about CRT and half of these people don't even know what that means. You're seeing these uproars, you know, with what happened on January 6th with the storming of the Capitol. I mean, this is no time for Black people to get relaxed. So I guess one of my challenges is just keeping people engaged, keeping people, you know, to keep their foot on the pedal, because there's no time to get relaxed. We got to keep organizing. We got to keep having our meetings. We got to keep strategizing, because by no means, if we see anything that's playing out at the federal level, we ain't won nothing yet. I mean, everything is at a gridlock right now at the federal level. And to me, I'm glad we're having this conversation about local politics, because to me, this is the future of this country. The future of this country will be at the local level and at the state level.
Wow. Well, you brought up another name. Did you say something about Dr. Carr?
Yes.
Uh-oh. I know we about to get some, we about to learn something today. We're gonna learn today. And that's a powerful brother. Yes. Yeah. Oh man. But you know, with everybody out there, and I know there's some challenges, and sometimes to reinforce the importance of local politics. And right now, we're going through what we call municipal elections. And could you kind of define what's that all about in layman terms for people?
Yes. I try to talk, you know, me being from Mississippi, you know, I try to make it plain. I don't try to use a lot of big words. So municipal means just local. That means your city council. That means your mayor. Those are the people that control your city. You know, like we said, we talked about backstage, that people that run your, you know, control your trash, control your streets and stuff being cratered. They even have some control over whether, you know, when they get federal dollars, whether they want to run fiber internet, you know, in a particular community. So for a lot of communities that don't have internet in it, you know, again, a lot of your local politicians, if you're in the city limits, the city council, and, you know, they're making decisions on, okay, where are we going to pay or spend these federal funds to put fiber internet, especially once we get the not the American Rescue Plan, the infrastructure bill passed at the federal level. You know, when those federal dollars come to Gwinnett County, when those federal dollars come to Norcross or Atlanta or Lawrenceville or Loganville, those politicians and city councils and county commissioners, they're going to be making decisions about, okay, well, how are we going to spend this money? Which streets we're going to fix? Which bridges we're going to repair? And which, areas are going to get fiber internet? So your local level has tremendous power, but municipal election, that's pretty much what it refers to. City council, mayor. That's pretty much the main two things that municipal elections are built around.
Okay. And I know in some cities, like school board people, when you look at shaping the future,
yes,
especially when you brought up critical race theory, what's being taught to our young people,
yes.
What type of delivery or what type of message they're getting to either get involved or stay stagnant. So we have to get involved at the lowest level of politics in order to get the results that are favorable to the forward movement of Black and brown people. And we can get left behind because other people are embracing the political, structure. We say over here, you need to buy, lease, rent, or own a politician.
Exactly right. That's exactly right. I mean, in the words of Kwame Ture, our biggest obstacle, we're not organized. I mean, as Black people, we just not organized enough. Again, if we don't be careful, these people will start exploiting, well, they're already exploiting our ability to protest. And that's why it's so important to, study what SNCC did, study what the Black Panthers did, study what, Medgar Evers and Ida B. Wells, a lot of the W.E.B. Du Bois. It's important to study all our ancestors and learn from their mistakes, learn from what went right, learn from what went wrong. Because the one thing we have now is hindsight. And we're not facing any obstacles today that we did not face, back in the 1960s or the early 1900s or the late 1800s. It's the same thing. We facing police brutality. We facing voting rights. I mean, we're still talking about the exact same things that we have the exact same challenges, they have. We still fighting poverty. So again, housing instability, job instability, low wages. All of these are things people like A. Philip Randolph and a lot of others are, we're faced with. So we have to get organized. We have to join organizations and get that political education and then bring our own ideas and skills to the table. I think one thing is Black people that we've gotten away from, we think, our degrees and our skills is supposed to be designed to create wealth. No, we have to get back to the mentality that we're going to take whatever talents that God gave us, and we're going to use those talents and gifts to improve the quality of life for our people in some shape, form, or fashion. We have to get back to that. We have to start raising our children to be like that. It's not important enough for just one of us to be elevated. No, all of us need to be elevated. And we all need to use whatever good gifts that God gave us to help elevate all Black people.
Whoa. I definitely like that, brother, because when it comes down to the forward movement of our people, we have to look at ourselves and our involvement within our communities, within our families, within our communities, so that we can get things done. I wanted to, we talked a little bit about, what's on hand, what's on deck for municipal elections. But for the people that's going to the polls, because people have heard so many things. When it talks about voter ID, I still have people that say, can I register? Even though we put the deadlines out and different things like that, just getting people to be proactive. But instead of waiting to the last minute and not knowing what you need, whether it's 2 or 3 pieces of ID, you might have to stand in line. People won't be giving out food. It's a lot of things that people are unaware that have changed, and plus there's opportunities for people to make money working the polls. But can you just stress to people or explain some of the things that we gonna need when we go to the polls?
Well, so this is municipal election, so I'm gonna focus on municipal. Hopefully, y'all will bring me back next year. We'll talk about state and federal. But for municipal, the number one thing to remember is municipal elections are at City Hall. So you don't go to your regular polling site. You don't go to your early voting polling location. You go to City Hall. The biggest thing also you need to verify is if you're even eligible to vote in the municipal election. And you can do that by going to www.mvp.sos.ga.gov. It's at the bottom of the screen. There you go. So go to that website, see if there's a blue hyperlink there where you can click on municipal election polling location to verify if you can vote. If it's grayed out, you can't vote. Or you can just call your local city hall and have them give them your address and say, hey, I want to check to verify if I'm eligible to vote in the local election. Usually a telltale sign, especially in places like Gwinnett. I know Atlanta's a little bit different. So with people that live in like maybe Gwinnett or Cobb or these other surrounding counties, usually a telltale sign whether you can vote is if your garbage can has City of Norcross on it or City of Lawrenceville on it. That usually means you're eligible to vote in those elections. Usually if you got a third party trash pickup, that means you're probably outside of the city limits. You're in what we call the county area and you're not eligible to vote. And it's just like every other election. You take your regular picture ID. Right now, I would tell anybody that's voting in municipal it's too late to do an absentee ballot. That deadline has passed Saturday. Wow. So go in person this week, starting tomorrow through Friday from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. This is the last week of early voting. And then, of course, Election Day will be on November 2nd, which is the first Tuesday in November from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. So definitely get out and vote. Just take your regular ID and make sure you go to City Hall. That's where you're going to be voting at. You're going to be voting at your local City Hall. You're not going to go to your regular polling location. That's what make voting in municipal elections a little bit unique. You don't have to re-register, but it is important to check your registration and make sure that you haven't been purged off the voter roll, because I think earlier this year they said 100,000 Georgians were taken off the voter roll. So check and make sure you're still active. It's too late to register. Registration deadline was October 4th. So if you have been purged, you're going to have to wait till next year's election cycle and re-register. But if you haven't been purged, your voter registration is active. Check and verify if you're eligible to vote in a municipal election. And you got between tomorrow to Friday to go vote. There it is right there. Enter your information under the MVP login. Check to see if you're eligible to vote in this upcoming municipal election, and check to see if your registration status is active.
And that's critical because and we encourage people to share this with your friends, family members. A lot of times we're complaining about things not being in our neighborhoods, things not being in our communities. But everything starts right here at the local elections, and to educate people to the point where you're not getting frustrated. I think also people can, by law, you're entitled for 2 hours of leave or something on election day where you can leave your job.
Yes. Your job, if your job has you working during the actual election hour window, you are entitled to 2 hours to be able to leave your job and go vote in this particular election. And again, like I said, it's between 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday of this week. This is the last week of early in-person voting. And then, of course, the first Tuesday in November from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. you can vote on election day. And the great thing about municipal election, well, not great. I guess a better thing about municipal election, upside to the municipal election is because it's such a low voter turnout and only a small segment in most areas, a small segment of people are even eligible to vote in a municipal. You should be able to get in and get out. You shouldn't have this issue with long lines and things like that because of low voter turnout. Of course, we worked hard to try to change that and make people aware here in Gwinnett, but you should just be able to get in and get out very easy, easy breezy. So it should be no situation where you got to wait, 2, 3, 4 hours in line. You should just be able to get in, get out, probably under 2 or 3 minutes.
Oh, great. For a lot of people that's joining us on YouTube, as you share this with family members, friends, to become a more informed, a more educated, and a more organized person or citizen in the community, it's critical that you share this information with your family members, because many times there are things right under our noses that we hope and we praying for, but it's already there for us. We just have to embrace what's there, and we have to participate, and we have to stay engaged. So during this time period, is there something else that you recommend that, because sometimes people do get a little, nonchalant about the voting and the voting process. Is there something that you can say, this is the real reason you need to vote in your municipal election?
Well, again, as we stated, if you live in an area where you got school, we don't have school board elections here in Gwinnett, but I think I heard y'all mention Atlanta. I think I've seen Atlanta has school board. Again, the school board are making decisions every day that affects your child education, from curriculum to policy making in terms of discipline. Again, a lot of the school to prison pipeline is being set by the type of people that are sitting on the school board making these racist policies that are, hurting, Black children, Black and brown children. So again, that's an important reason to get out and vote, because, and not only vote, again, after you vote, come to these school board meetings and making sure the things that these people promised and ran on, they're holding up to it. As far as the city council and mayoral positions, again, the mayor has control over the police department. He hires and fires the police chief, again, which runs the police department. So again, if you're talking about police brutality, again, people got to realize law enforcement is local. It's not a federal thing. That's a local thing. That's a state thing, but it's officially is local first. So again, if you want police to be held accountable, you definitely want a mayor that's going to be for the people and be willing to push and hold the police chief accountable to make sure law enforcement officers are not violating your rights. So I mean, that within itself, with everything I talked about with George Floyd and Breonna Taylor here in Georgia with Ahmaud Arbery, again, all of these are local positions that affect other local things. Like I said, with law enforcement, city council, again, these people are making policy decisions, again, that are affecting whether, like I said, you get internet out in your area. That's affecting things with housing, it's affecting things with whether bridges or streets are getting fixed, which affect your property values again. Or, again, these people are making decisions to gentrify your communities, pushing a lot of your elderly Black people out and, bringing in totally different demographics. So again, these things affect us. I mean, it's just a matter of us getting educated on how they affect us. And that's why I'm glad for platforms like this to get people educated on how these things affect us.
And we thank you, brother. I know in the on the screen now is showing people, because certain things have changed. Provisional ballots. When you hear these state bills, State Bill 202, State Bill this and that. And a lot of times the policymakers are creating things that will be in place to either restrict, impede, or totally remove the opportunities that you had before. And believe it or not, this reminds me of something Ronald Reagan said: freedom ain't free, and you have to fight for freedom every day.
Yeah.
And every right that you have, or every thing that we are entitled to, if you take it for granted, they will take it away. And there are laws that are in effect. I see one, we got some in Gwinnett County. What offices are up for elections? That's Miss Sylvia Hayes. What's up there, Miss Sylvia? Great question.
What city are you from, Miss Sylvia? What city do you live in? I can better answer that question based on the city.
What city are you in? I think she's in Lilburn, Georgia. Is that correct? I believe so.
If she's in Lilburn, then the city council, it will be one of the positions that's Norcross. Okay, so yes, still same thing. City council,
okay,
is what's up for election. A matter of fact, we had a municipal election forum where one of the city council candidates, Sophie Gibson, came on our forum, basically discussing, why she would make a good candidate for city council. So if you want to check that out, you can at your leisure on our Gwinnett NAACP Facebook page. But yes, city council in Norcross is one of the positions that are up for election this year.
Okay, and again, people can go to my voter page,
yes,
and see who's up there. And I know in Fulton County there are some referendums on the ballot. You can actually see a real ballot.
Okay.
And you don't have to wait until you get to the polls, so you can, go over it, discuss it with your family members. I know sometimes they get us with that, because people just check anything.
Yeah. And one thing I will say this too. So if you want to know who's running for these positions, a lot of times your local city hall web page will have a list of the candidates that are running for office. And then you can Google those candidates and get an idea of, what platform or, what they're running on. Follow them on Facebook to see some of the social media, some of the media stuff they've done. So you can get a feel for, who and what you're voting for when you vote for these people. But yeah, so because like I said, this is, one thing people got to realize with municipal elections, this is not a statewide election. This is going to be, it's not a countywide election. This is based on what city you live in. So if you're in Norcross, it's going to be based on, what politicians running in Norcross. If you're in Lawrenceville or Loganville or Grayson, which they don't have an election this year since none of the candidates had a person to run against them. But if you're in any of these places, again, it's going to be at your city hall and it's going to be specific to your city. It's not going to be tied to anything that's countywide. Or if you, in your case, in you all's case, in Fulton County with Atlanta, y'all have school boards, same thing. But the school board probably be, well, here in Gwinnett, we don't have any school board seats up this year, but that'll be the only thing that would be an actual race that would be, geographically based on where you're at. That may involve more than just one city.
And, I know we're focusing on the municipal elections, but one of the things, just like some of those places like Grayson, I think all these surrounding places, a lot of these people run unopposed.
Yes.
Because people are unaware that the position is available. They've got, I think in Georgia, there's one area where maybe the incumbent left or died.
Yeah.
And you have to stay on point because they'll just let this glide over.
Yeah.
And
go ahead. I'm sorry. Now, the only thing I was going to say about that is, again, I would just say to, all our people, because I know we having a conversation, but I'm speaking to Black people right now. Again, you don't have to be educated or have a doctorate degree to run for these offices. Most people running for city council, mayor, state senate, state representative, school board. These are just everyday people like me and you who see a problem with what's happening, want to do something about it. And the only thing I will say here at the Gwinnett NAACP, we do have partners that will train you to run for political office. So if you want to step up and be a city council or mayor, it's too late to run for this election, but maybe the next election cycle or next year you want to run for a state representative, a state senate seat, a school board seat. We do have partners that we partner with that are nonpartisan that's willing to get you the training that you need to run a successful campaign. Because at the end of the day, we have to, like you said, not let these seats run unopposed. And, because you always want to have options. That's the great thing that makes, politics and elections work. You want to have more than one choice. We want people to challenge people. We don't want to, that was one of the things I've said about here in Gwinnett. We ain't trying to make no career politicians if y'all ain't doing what y'all supposed to do. We gonna want people to run against y'all and bump y'all out the paint if y'all ain't doing what y'all supposed to be doing by our people. Because we've seen it happen many, many times. Y'all seen it right there in Atlanta. Y'all been through that where certain people have been elected and then re-elected, and poor Black people are continuing to take a L because it's all about making money and not about taking care of the people.
Right. We should buy, lease, rent, own, or control the efforts and actions of all politicians.
Yeah.
Politicians should be at our beck and call. Believe it or not, in your local elections or your local municipality, you should be able to get in touch with the mayor, or city council person, school board person. I know Atlanta is a bigger area, but there are people that get so involved in their local politics, because they go to the barbershop with them.
Right.
The hair salon. They say, Joe, now, come on now. How you voting on this? And we have to do our part as well. And yes, thank you. This is an important conversation because this affects everything. Even when we look at public access television, a lot of the things that are afforded to the community. You mentioned cable. I've been in areas where people got less than 2 bars on their cell phones because the cable, they said, well, I thought y'all in the area where when these funds become available, if
they're not investing,
your local politicians put a blind side to you and won't even get in there with you. So you got to make sure these folks are operating in your best interest.
Absolutely. Again, like I tell people, the first step we got to do is get out and vote. Well, the first step we got to do is get out and figure out what these people are running on, and then hold them accountable to what they're running on. Then we go vote and get them in office. And then, in my opinion, the real work begins after the election, because now it's time to go to City Hall and make sure that they're delivering on everything that they promised you they was going to deliver on. And we have to hold their feet to the fire. And if they don't do what they're supposed to do, we got to get them up out the paint. And whether that means us organizing and picking somebody in the community and say, hey, if you run for office, we're going to get behind you. You're going to run and you're going to put this person out of office. And we're going to get you in there to get done what we're going to get done. And that's what it takes. Again, as I said before, to me, the future of this country, I think what we're seeing at the federal level with this gridlock with voting rights, this gridlock with the George Floyd bill, to me, this country federally is facing a fracture, in my opinion. And the future of this country, anytime you see somebody like Karen Bass leaving the House of Representatives to go run for mayor in Los Angeles, that tells you, she sees the future of this country being state and local. That's where the future of this country is headed. And so to me, that's why conversations like this is why people got to understand that, again, politics are local, and we have to get out in these elections and vote. Normally the average voter turnout in the municipal elections is around 15 to 20%. And among Black people, it's less than 10% or less. So again, we have to get out here and we have to vote. We have to exercise our power. We need people in the community to run for office, not be afraid. And again, like I said, organizations like mine, we have resources for you to get to. If your biggest fear is, I don't know what the heck I'm doing, I see it's wrong, I want to run for my city council, I want to run for my school board position, I want to run for public service commission, I want to run for state senate, but I don't know what to do, we do have resources available to you to get you educated.
I had a question out there. How do you suggest we increase community engagement?
Well, a number of different things. I think platforms like this helping people understand the importance of that. I think having conversations at the barbershops, at the churches, any location where Black people are gathered when we talk politics, these are the conversations we need to be trying to have. Family reunion, we need to have these conversations because, again, as I said before, as black people, we've been under perpetual assault since they drug us over here and stuck this English in our mouth.
Okay.
That's just the truth. We've
it is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, from again, from slavery to being enslaved, shall I say, to Jim Crow, to out of Jim Crow 2.0 in the 21st century. I mean, to the crime bill in the 90s. Again, the crack epidemic, in the 80s and 90s. Again, it's just been one thing after another thing after another thing. And again, we can just get a third of our people to get organized, to get politically engaged, and to understand, most importantly than anything, is that if we're going to win this, and we are in a war, let me just be clear about that. This is a war that we're in. We're in a war for our lives, for our humanity. So again, if we're going to win this thing and truly liberate this country, is we have to understand that we've always taken the L by not understanding that the seat of power in this country sits at the local level and the state level. Every time we've gotten, and I'm not saying trying to discourage people not voting in federal elections, but truly understand that every time we've got legislation passed at the federal level, the state level has done something to strip it away. So whether you go back to reconstructions in the 1800s, mid and early 1800s, when Reconstruction took place after the end of slavery, when they passed the 13th Amendment, 14th and 15th Amendment, again, the state level passed laws to recreate slavery. So they seen a loophole in the 13th Amendment, and they used the penal system to recreate slavery. The 15th Amendment, which said you can't discriminate against no one's right to vote based on race, creed, or color. Well, we've seen the voter suppression laws that they passed back then, making us take literacy tests and have poll taxes. And now we're facing these same exact recreations. So again, and these are all things that got done at the state level. Federal does one thing, and then we just seen what happened in 2020. We get out there, we got the people that we wanted to get in office. And then immediately after it happened, Georgia and among other states went and passed all these state laws and state bills to put us back in the 1960s. Really, they trying to take us back to the 1800s. So again, we have to understand that the seat of power in this country always started from the ground up. So local, state. So we have to get involved. Understand, even like I said, police reform. If we truly want to reform law enforcement, it starts at the local level and putting people in power that's going to hold local law enforcement officials accountable at the mayor and city council, and then work our way up to the state level to make sure certain laws are not passed that's going to prevent mayors and city council from holding law enforcement accountable. So I know we're talking about municipal now, and that's great, but we also have to understand we got a huge election coming up in 2022, and to me, that's going to pretty much decide which direction Georgia go in. And so what we have to understand is, again, if we truly want to get things changed in the state of Georgia, all across Georgia, when we talking about Gwinnett, Fulton, DeKalb, Chatham, wherever county you're in Georgia, Bibb, again, we're going to have to get out and not only vote in these local elections, but we're going to have to come out in huge and massive numbers and flip that state legislature, flip the governor's mansion, people in office that going to stand up for voting rights, going to stand up to holding law enforcement accountable, going to stand up to wanting to raise the economic floor for people on minimum wage jobs. Again, we just got to get out and organize and realize this is where we always taking the L. We haven't organized enough and got out and voted enough at the state level elections and local level elections. Once we start doing that, then we won't see these circumvents from the state and local level happening. Part of the reason why these school boards across the country are under attack, because we put the people that we wanted to put in at the school board level in office. Okay. Now what we have to do is, again, like I said, after the election, now we got to get out and show those people we support them. If you live in Gwinnett, you live in Cobb, you live in Fulton, after y'all have y'all election, if y'all get the people y'all want on the school board, come to these school board meetings and show these people support, because these people are going to be under attack. They're going to be getting bombarded with a bunch of nonsense. And we need our people to show up to these meetings, show their support, and keep the message focused on things we need to do to improve, the education system for our children. So it's not just about, we want you to definitely come out to vote. That's step one. Get out, come out in massive numbers and vote for these local officials at the municipal election in November. Come back next year for these state elections next year, because that's going to be even
critical,
even more critical, because this is where we always have taken the L. This is where our rights have always been stripped, is at the state level. So come back even massive numbers next year at the state level. And then as you get these people elected, hold them accountable, come to the school board meetings, come to the city council meetings. City council meetings at City Hall, come to the county commissioners meetings, come to the school board meetings, and show these people that you support them and you expect them to deliver on what they ran on when they was campaigning.
Yeah. And I know your organization, NAACP, has been around for a long time, and you've been really keeping a lot of people to the fire, keeping them on point, keeping them focused on our issues. Yes. Another issue in one of the chat room discussions is redistricting, redistricting the area in which people occupy. And I know sometimes they call it gerrymandering, where they would draw a line, just to make sure you were not in a position to be strong enough to have representation, the right representation of the people and the culture and that community. In your organization, NAACP, I know you've been putting a lot of work in there. It's good to see a young brother get in there and bring some new blood, because there's a lot of work the NAACP has done. And sometimes people say, oh man, they don't need these organizations no more. We good. We got Obama. He was the president. And, we good. We don't have to sit on the back of the bus. We good. But every day, a piece of your freedom is being chiseled at. Every day.
For anybody that think we don't need organizations like, Minds or the Urban League or Rainbow Push or Black Lives Matter or any other organizations that I'm not naming, again, I would just ask them to go to some of these hotels and some of these, where you see a lot of our people staying in extended stays because they've been misplaced. Walking downtown Atlanta and see a lot of the homelessness out there. Again, as I stated before, either you're being willfully ignorant or you're just not going to the places where, again, where you see these extreme poverty still taking place, even in areas like Gwinnett and even in areas like Atlanta, where you do have a Black middle class. Again, if all of us can't win, then it's not a win. We can't just be happy to see, with representation. We have to see systemic change. And so again, anytime Black people are still facing the highest rates of incarceration, the most undereducated in terms of our kids in school, women, as far as birth rates in terms of giving birth, mortality rates as far as delivering children is some of the worst out of all, different races of women. Black women at the bottom of that in terms of, dying when, to give childbirth. Again, our health disparities are some of the worst among all the races. We haven't won anything. And so anybody that says that, I would just advise them to do a little more research, do a little more talking to the elders, go into some organizations and listen and sit back and just listen to some of the conversations we're having. And then your eyes will be open to some of the things you'll learn in terms of some of the things the work that still need to be done, because there's plenty of work that still need to be done.
And all skin folk ain't kinfolk.
Absolutely not.
We have to pay attention and see who's in our best interest as a people, a family, community. We were talking about redistricting, where people are getting pushed out of their neighborhoods, rezoning, things of that nature. Even if it's a family or a business, things are being reshaped right under our noses.
Yes, and I would say the redistricting thing, the hard part about a redistricting now is, again, we got the numbers. I think I thought, at least I was listening to Roland Martin. He said Georgia would be the first state, and he said this back in 2019. We would be the first state to be a majority minority state. So basically a majority non-white state. Well, that's happened with the previous census. It didn't take 10 years. It literally took 2 years from when he made that statement. So because I think the last census, Georgia was 50.9% non-white. And so again, you can only draw those maps so many ways to try to lump us all under one district, So again, we will, as the Gwinnett NAACP, and I'm sure organizations will be monitoring redistricting. But again, it's just hard to draw those maps because so many Black people have, moved out of the city of Atlanta into the suburbs. So many Black people have moved to other parts of Georgia. So many Black people have moved into Georgia. A lot of Black people from all over the world, from Africa, from the Caribbean, from New York. Again, so many Black people have migrated to the state where, again, along with Asian population has increased, in a slight increase in Latinx population. So again, it's only so many ways you can draw that map to try to exclude all of us. So I think it's going to be, not saying they ain't going to try, I'm sure they're going to try, but it's going to be very difficult for them to draw those maps to try to exclude us. I think the only thing they can do now at this point is maybe try to cut off certain sections or certain pieces that they don't want us to come. And again, that still goes back to, like I said, being actively engaged and voting in these municipal elections. If you're eligible to vote in them, exercise your right to vote, because again, these people are sitting back every day making decisions on, what areas they're going to put neighborhoods, what things are going to be put up, what areas they're going to try to run a highway or a street through, into grandma's old neighborhood. Again, if you look at even this, like you said, city of Atlanta, if I'm not mistaken, it's either 85 or 75 went through some Black neighborhoods when they
over there by the old Fulton. I can't think of that area, but over there, anywhere you see an interstate, it actually split up a neighborhood.
Yes, and so again, these decisions are being made at your city hall. So understand, like I said, again, a lot of times when it comes to politics, decisions that your city council and your mayor make, decisions that your school board make at the municipal level, these decisions have a direct impact on you immediately. Things that are happening at the federal level, a lot of times they may not have a direct impact on you immediately. It may have a long-term effect on us, but you don't see the impacts of that immediately. Things that happen at the local level and at the state level, they hit hard and fast, and they hit immediately. And so that's why we always need to stay engaged. And if we are eligible if we are within the city limits of a city to vote in a municipal election, we need to exercise that vote and get out the vote. And again, and at times we need to run for office. Times we need to have the courage and step up and say, if ain't nobody else going to do it, I'm going to get out here and do it. Don't nobody else want to step up and run for city council. I know this dude is not doing it, what's in the best interest for all people or for humanity. So I'm gonna step up and I'm gonna run against him. I'm gonna, and so sometimes we just got to step out on faith. I know our people are very religious people. We just have to trust in God and step out there on faith. And again, like I said, organizations like mine, we do have resources for people who, want to run, but just afraid to run for different political positions because they feel like they don't have the resources or the knowledge to know what to do and how to do it. We do have resources available to you to do that.
Okay. And I know in the era of COVID-19, whether it's a pandemic, a plandemic, or pandemonium, people, a lot of the local policies, when it comes down to whether you got to have a mask or don't have a mask.
Yes.
When it comes down to whether you vaccinated or unvaccinated, a lot of the policies that people are going to be dealing with, especially you look at a lot of these rural counties, when you look at outside of Atlanta, I remember during the last president's term and the governor, the mayors of mostly Black and brown cities had to go up against the governor. So you better have a strong mayor.
Exactly.
And you better have some strong city council people, because there were some mayors that were in areas, and then when you look outside and saw the particular area or the neighborhood where the city council people were there, they were able to make things happen that did not impede, restrict, or just take away the rights and freedoms of people in that neighborhood, that community. So we have to really make sure that there's opportunity. we had a question. Will they still be giving rides to the polls in Gwinnett area?
I think SB 202 has restricted some of that. If I'm not mistaken, it has eliminated, I think, like mobile vans, so you can't like bus a whole bunch of people and take them to the polls anymore. Again, that law is fluid. So again, if you can carpool, you can't get a bus, but you still can say, hey, let's rent a van and let's go over there. Again, so there's always ways around things. Again, we just have to figure it out. We just have to take time to study and figure out how we're gonna, like you say, Uber. Again, there's always ways around things. But yeah, just to answer that question, yes. And again, this, SB 202, again, it was definitely designed to restrict people from voting, which again shows, like I said, why it's so important for us to understand that if we truly gonna break the back of white supremacy in this country, it starts with us getting actively engaged and voting at the local level, and then treating state elections like it's a presidential election. And the unique thing about Georgia that I'm sure the average person don't understand, all 236 state legislative seats are up for grabs every 2 years. So starting next year in 2022, all 236 legislative seats are up. The House of Representatives and the Senate, all those seats are up for election at the exact same time, along with the governors, along with lieutenant governor, along with secretary of state. All those positions are all up together at the exact same time. So we have a chance to really transform Georgia for the better. If we get the type of people we want in office in 2022 for these state elections coming up next year, you have an opportunity to pass a John Lewis voting rights bill at the state level. We don't have to wait for DC to pass a bill at the federal level. We can do it right here at the state level. We can pass a George Floyd bill or a Ahmaud Arbery bill, whatever y'all want to name the bill, police reform bill right here in Georgia that says, hey, if law enforcement, violates someone's rights, whether they lying on a police report, whether they, abusing someone, we can have laws written at the state level that says their law enforcement license is stripped from them and they no longer can be a law enforcement officer in the state of Georgia. That can be done at the state level. Again, it can be laws put in to roll back what SB 202 did in terms of trying to, I know this is a whole conversation about defunding the police and basically the state level taking away the local level rights to say, hey, instead of us investing, $30 million in Atlanta Police Department, we're going to take $15 million out of that budget, put it into housing, put it into homeless shelters, things like that, to clean up the homeless, put it into job training and job education, put it into guaranteed income. The state level took away that ability for the city council and mayor in Atlanta or anywhere else in Georgia to be able to change or move money around in terms of police budget. But we have an opportunity to roll that back and re-empower the mayors and city councils around the state of Georgia to be able to do that with the police budget. And so again, that's why I say, politics start from the ground up. We've been programmed and miseducated to think politics start from federal, state, then local. No, politics start local, state, then federal. It starts from the ground up, not from the top down. And so we have to retrain and reprogram our thinking when it comes to politics and understand that, okay, let's get organized and educated around getting our local officials elected and getting the type of people we want at the local level. Let's get massive turnout at the state level. Let's know what years in our state are key years for us to really get out and vote. Is it 2022? Is it 2023? For Georgia in particular, it's 2022. Again, everything's on the line at the state level in 2022. So if y'all truly want to transform Georgia in a way that y'all probably have never seen it, then it's critical for y'all to treat 2020, treat it like, Donald Trump is on the ballot, because
he is. Right.
Everything that, we heard Trump say, in terms of, find some ballots, SB 202 now allows them to legally cheat, to legally take over your election board and start throwing ballots out. And the only way to change that is as Black people, as Hispanic, Latinx people, our Native American brothers and sisters, our Asian American brothers and sisters, our white American brothers and sisters that believe in a free democracy that lives in Georgia. We're gonna have to overwhelm those ballots, in local elections first for November, for this week for early voting, and then on first Tuesday in November for municipal election, and then for next year for state election. We're gonna have to overwhelm these ballot boxes, get these people out of office, and then have some strategic things that we want done and we want seen done to really transform Georgia.
A couple key things in closing. What are some of the things that you suggest that voters do to prepare themselves to go to the polls?
So to prepare themselves to go to the polls, I say the first thing you'll need to do, since we're in the municipal election season, is make sure you're eligible to vote in the municipal election. So like I said, go to the mvp.sos.ga.gov website, check your eligibility to vote. If you're not familiar or you don't know where to go, contact City Hall, give them your address, say, hey, I'm calling to see if I'm eligible to vote in this election. Once they give you the green light and they say you're eligible, take your picture ID, whether it's state ID, driver's license, passport. Again, take your picture ID. There go the website right there, and then go to the polls and vote. But that'll be the thing that I would recommend anybody do, because the thing about municipal election that make it a little tricky, you can live in a particular city and still be outside of the city limits. Like where I live, I'm outside of my municipality city limits to vote in my local election, so I'm not eligible. And again, like I said, one way to know if you're eligible that I've picked up from just doing a lot of canvassing this summer is most people that are eligible to vote in the election, they have the name of it on their trash can. It says City of Norcross, City of Lawrenceville, City of Loganville. It'll say that on your can trash, and 99% of the time that means okay, you in the city limits and you eligible to vote in your municipal election.
Well, that's a bit hint clue. I know in Fulton County, they used to have unincorporated Fulton County, and right there on Cascade, I remember where I lived, I was not eligible to vote for the mayor.
Yes.
I had a city council person, and a lot of people, they're like, well, what do you mean I can't vote? And they, we get into things, but we get in our feelings, but we need to look at the policies, procedures, and things that are set up in advance before we get to the poll.
And understand this, that the people we're electing are controlling the redistricting of those maps. So they're drawing the maps and deciding who are eligible to vote for these municipal elections. So that's another reason why it's important to come out and vote and get people that believe in expanding voting rights, that believe in democracy. It's important to get them elected because, again, these people are controlling the redistricting, and it's important for us to make sure we fill out the census as well, to make sure we get counted so our community can get those resources. But like I said, also to make sure we get the politician we want as city council and mayor, because these are also the people deciding, okay, which part of the city are we going to include to be part of this redrawing of the map? Are we going to include this particular area in Grayson? Now, it wasn't included, 10 years ago. Now we're doing a new map and we've added another, 5,000 people. Are we going to include, 3,000 of that? Or are we going to leave these section of Black people out? Because I know, like I said, where I live, it's predominantly about 90% Black. And it's a lot of us that cannot vote in our municipal election. And so I think that's by design. And so, again, that's why for the ones of us that are inside the city limits that can vote, in order to expand that voting power, we need y'all to get out there and participate and be active, learn who your candidates are and vote for them. And let me say this too, some of the things we've done, I know we didn't get into it earlier, but some of the things my organization has done, like I said, we did canvassing. We did 6 cities in 6 weekends. We knocked on over 3,000 doors this summer, from Norcross to Liburn, to Loganville, to Grayson, to Lawrenceville. We've done phone banking for Snellville to make people aware of their municipal election. And we had a municipal election forum where we invited some of the candidates. Like I said, I think a young lady that lived in Norcross that was on earlier. We had one of the candidates on that forum. And we're doing another forum on Wednesday night. You can go to the Gwinnett NAACP Facebook page, YouTube page, or Twitter page and watch that forum on Wednesday night at 7. But we're going to invite some more candidates, city council candidates from Liburn, from Sugar Hill, on to, basically talk about why they're running. And we're going to ask, questions about, what some policies they're going to run on and, why they'll make a good candidate to get people educated. Because again, like I said, we've been miseducated to think that politics starts from the federal level down. No, politics starts from the local level up. Once we jailbreak that mentality and figure that out, we'll be able to jailbreak this political game and eventually, make changes for our people that'll be for the better.
Definitely, thank you, brother. I know that website is being broadcast and sent across the board. Over here, We Are Ready, which is an acronym for war. And we just joined a war session. And, we focus on anything that's necessary for us to survive, whether it's the next 7 days, the next 7 weeks, or the next 7 years. Yes. And as the people, sometimes we don't think we're in battle mode, and we don't think that, or we don't believe that people are preparing so that they can be ahead of the game. So with everybody out there, we hope that you continue to do your due diligence. Thank you, Brother Paul, for just coming on board, and we got to bring you back. We got many opportunities because we got to stay ready. If you're trying to get ready, you just ain't gonna make it. And we don't want our people going to those polls being checked, frustrated, and even leaving prematurely before they vote because they didn't do their homework. Exactly. So we thank you and your organization, Gwinnett NAACP, and the NAACP has been around a long time. And they still putting work in. I got a young blood putting work in. And we thank you, brother. And on behalf of our producer, Miss Adrian Coleman, we thank you. We thank everybody that called in, share, everything you can over on our YouTube channel, and subscribe as well. We will always bring you something that will help you, your family, and your community. With that being said, this is Reginal Drummer, the Peopleologist, coming to you on. I didn't even put a plug in for the T-shirt, thinking it ain't illegal yet. Once they ban thinking, we all doomed.
Exactly.
We are all doomed.
Thank you again for inviting me on. It was a pleasure. And in the words of the great Fred Hampton, since you brought up war, as he always said, war is just politics with bloodshed, and politics is just war without bloodshed. And again, we understand that, that'll change our whole mindset.
Powerful, brother. And keep up the good work you represent, and you continue to expand the Black and Brown legacy. You walking in some heavy footsteps, and I think you got some big shoes, and you got your big boy pants on and everything. So thank you.
Thank you again for bringing me on. We'll do it again soon.
Yes, sir.